Hello, welcome to Modern Paleo Cooking. My name is Wendy Myers. Today we're going to be making chicken bone broth. A lot of people ask me, what is bone broth? It sounds kind of gross, but it's really just a fancy way of saying chicken soup. We're just making chicken soup. That's all it is, so don't get all worked up about it. And today we are going to be using chickens. You can use chicken parts. I just happen to have a whole chicken on hand. You want to be using organic pastured chicken. That's paleo. We want to be eating animals that are eating what they're supposed to be eating, which is bugs and worms. And that will impart great health benefits to us, like omega-3 fats. So you can use 4 or 5 chicken parts. You can throw in some chicken feet if you're into that. But just a little, half chicken will do too. And then we're going to be using our herbs. We want beautiful herbs like this. We want thyme, just like a little handful. It doesn't have to be exact, about 20 sprigs. Don't need to count them out. Just throw them in there. They add some really nice flavor to the broth. You can choose whatever herbs you like. But I've made this broth many, many times, and I just find it turns out best with the thyme, dill, and Italian parsley. But if you only have regular curly leaf parsley, that's fine too. We're also going to be flavoring it with a whole onion. Smaller onions are best. They're usually more nutritious, and you can do 2 small onions or 1 medium, doesn't have to be exact. And then we're going to be using garlic. This is the dried garlic, or you can use fresh garlic that I got at the farmer's market. I like garlic, so I put 2 heads of garlic in my soup. Then we want 4 stalks of celery to go in there, and we want 4 carrots. And I like the carrots that have the tops still on them, because then you know how old the carrot is. We want fresh carrots. So the ones at the stores that have the tops lopped off, they had to lop them off because they turned yellow or got really old and disgusting. So you want to make sure you get them with the tops on, then you know how old they are. And then the final ingredient is going to be our apple cider vinegar. This is going to help get the minerals out of the bones of the chicken, which is what we want. We want added minerals. Won't change the flavor at all of the soup. And then of course we add our seasoning, which is salt and pepper. So first we're going to be starting with a 16-quart stock pot. It doesn't have to be exact, just fill it up halfway with water. And then we're going to be throwing in our chicken parts, or a whole chicken. Usually it kind of tastes better if you don't have any meat on it, if you just have just the bones to make bone broth. If you have a lot of meat on it, it will add more fats to the broth, which you can just skim off if you choose. And so throw that in the water, and then we're gonna put our 4 stalks of celery. Just cut those in half. And then we have our 4 carrots. Doesn't have to be exact. You can use 6 little ones, 4 big ones, whatever you got. Stock pots around the world just tend to be a melting pot. They just throw in all the scraps and vegetables and excess bones that they have lying around. And many households around the world have a continuous stock pot going. They just throw everything in there and always have a nice little bone broth to cook with. Then we're going to throw in our onion. Just cut this in half. Be sure not to smell it. And then we have our heads of garlic. Just cut those in half. Oh, try not to cut yourself while you're doing that. Okay, here we go. So do our half head of garlic. And then I'm gonna put in my fresh garlic. I love my fresh garlic. And it just hasn't been dried, and it's kind of like a vegetable. It only lasts for about, something's up with my knife. It only lasts for about a week in the fridge. And so just cut that garlic head in half, and you don't have to peel it. It's just, if you use it for cooking, it's just, it's gorgeous. The skins it's fresh, so you don't have to peel this garlic. And then the herbs are easy. You just throw those in the pot. It's a very easy dish. And then you want about 2 tablespoons of salt. Broth is gonna be really bland if you don't have salt in it. So be sure to add enough seasoning. You can always add more salt later. So don't worry about not getting enough. And then we wanna add whole peppercorns. And this is what I happen to have. I didn't have all black peppercorns. I had some red ones laying around, so I used those. But you can just use ground pepper if you want to, but the peppercorns are nice. They're easy, just throw them in. So now we're gonna put our 1 shot of apple cider vinegar into it, and it's ready to go on the stove. So put your burner on high to start out with. And we're gonna put the top on and bring it to a boil. Shouldn't take very long. Once it reaches a boil, then you wanna take the top off and just simmer it for about 4 hours. And you can always simmer it for longer. Chicken broth really only takes about 4 hours to make broth. You can simmer it for as long as 24 hours. You'll probably have to keep adding liquid to it if you do that. And then, keep an eye on your broth. You don't want the water to cook down too much because then you'll have burnt vegetables, which has happened to me before. And while your broth is cooking, you gotta make sure to skim your scum. It's a very important part of making bone broth. There's little impurities and things that come out of the bones, and it's called scum. It floats at the top. So you just wanna skim it off the top and put it into a bowl, and just watch your stock periodically and skim your scum. And then after that, all you do is you're going to strain your broth and get out all the vegetables, throw them away, they're done. You can reuse the bones if you like. Typically people can use the bones for 2 or 3 different batches of stock. And then you'll have a nice big pot of stock, and then I will put them into little Tupperware tubs like this and freeze them. This is a perfect individual size, so that usually I'll have a cup of bone broth, sometimes just for dinner if I am not hungry, or I'll have it for breakfast if I'm doing intermittent fasting at times. And it's just a great way to have healthy bone broth on hand for when you wanna just have a cup of broth, make yourself some soup, use it as a base in a dish, cook some vegetables in it. It's one of my favorite things that I always have on hand in my house. Thank you so much for watching the Modern Paleo Cooking Show. My name is Wendy Myers, and we made some chicken bone broth.